Hello YouTube, this is Froogle and welcome back to part 3 of our first impressions look at the Pmdg 777-300ER and of course Service Pack 1. Now we're well established in the cruise, we have quite a way to go. Normally I wouldn't start part 3 this early, but look, I've got a bit of a problem. My route finishes at Kurtz because we haven't selected the star into Chicago, nor the runway or all that good stuff. So I'm going to settle that up first and then I'll cut the video and meet you at the normal start of part 3, which is obviously the top of descent. So let's go ahead and settle that up. Very easy to do. Click on departures and arrivals. It's already showing KMCO, which is not what we want. That's showing that because it's not long after takeoff, so the closest airport would actually be to return at this point. So departures and arrivals, Chicago up there. So there's our runways and our stars. We're going to choose ILS 10 left, and we're going to take the Oxy 4 star in, and we're going to use the Gibbons transition. Now normally for this approach into Chicago you would be working with ATC, and from the end of this star they actually vector you, so it comes up a little bit strange when we put this route in, as you'll see. So I'm just going to execute that. Let's go through and have a look. So we have Kurtz, then we have the normal disconnect, which is quite normal. Normally at this point the aircraft's kind of expecting you to talk to ATC, so it disconnects it, so it will continue flying on a straight and level route and let you then intervene afterwards based on what ATC are telling you, or just follow the flight plan. So we'll move Oxy up into that disconnect, and you can see here between the waypoints Style and Gibbons we have vectors. We're actually going to get rid of that. It's kind of unnecessary, so we'll just pull Gibbons up over vectors. And there's our two changes. So we have the Oxy 4 arrival, and we've moved Gibbons up, and we will click on execute. Now we can take a look at what that actually looks like fairly easily. If we go back to the main view, I'm going to pop open the navigation display, and I'm going to pop open the CDU, and I'm going to change the navigation display into plan mode. Now with it in plan mode, if I zoom in a little bit down here as well, and we'll go previous page. Okay, so that's where we currently are at. Let's start stepping through. So you click on the step LSK at the bottom right of the CDU, and it will step through each of the waypoints. And you can see it showing up here. Ryan's is in the center. Step. There's Kurtz. There's Oxy. There's Style. Top of descent seems to be a little bit late. I might have to override that. Arist is now. That will be Arist in the center there. Oh, and we have a hold here. You see that? It might be the hold after a go around. We'll take a look. Missed approach. All the way down, straight onto runway 10 left, and yes, that hold point is for the go-around, missed approach. So missed approach would have us turning to the right and climbing to hold at DPA. Pretty cool. Now just going back through these a little bit, let's just jump through them once again. There's our hold. So we have our altitudes on the right hand side, our constraints. So you can see here 360, it's expecting 12,000 there, 9,000 here. Notice that number's changing, although we're in flight, it's not, it won't be an instantaneous calculation of top of descent or the altitudes on the descent path. So that's why you saw top of descent running a little bit late there. See, it's just after the style waypoint. It should actually be before the style waypoint. But we'll see how we do nearer the time. Normally I would expect to see, if I change the range out here, I would expect to see top of descent around about here just before Oxy, but we'll see. We may have to change that depending on how the aircraft catches up with us, because we settled the star in a little bit late. My bad. I hate that phrase. I will see you closer to the top of the actual descent once we get there. See you shortly. Welcome back. So we are now about 60 miles outside Oxy, and our top of descent didn't really shift. It moved a little bit, and I was mistaken. That's not such a bad thing. If we look at the legs here, between Style and Gibbs, and just after Style is top of descent, that's almost 100 miles, and then 20 miles after that, and so on and so on. So plenty of room to descend from 36,000 feet down to the lower levels. Now will be the right time though to start planning our descent and doing all our descent checklist and everything else. So before we do anything, let's go and grab the barometric pressure and the weather forecast at Chicago. Now I'm using Active Sky Next, as you saw in part 1, and I have the aircraft set up so that it automatically transmits the route that we're flying to Active Sky Next, and everything works lovely. So fingers crossed this works.
Kilo, Oscar, Romeo, Delta, airport information, Romeo 1351, Zulu, weather, wind, calm, visibility 10, sky condition, few clouds at 5,000, few clouds at 1,000, temperature 2.14, altimeter 3018, advise on initial contact, you have information, Romeo, Kilo, Oscar,
so altimeter
Romeo,
is
Delta.
3018. We can dial that in now, and it comes up as a standby altimeter, so we'll just, standby pressure setting, so we'll just put that in, 3018. Let me pop this open so actually so you can see it. It's down here, bottom right. See that? So we'll just start dialing that up. Now what we need to do when we hit the transition level of 18,000 feet is just press standard, and it'll automatically populate our barometric pressure with 3018. So that's all set. The next thing we need to do is to grab the forecast winds. So we'll go to VNAV, go to the next page, go to forecast. So here is our descent forecast. We want, well, let's do a normal forecast request and see what it gives us in terms of altitudes. We'll probably change that. So request has been sent, just waiting for the data link to respond. It can take a few seconds, as I pointed out in the previous videos. The Service Pack 1 and obviously the 300, which builds on Service Pack 1, do accurately model the delays. So we'll load those, and it takes a couple of seconds to load them all in. There we are. So here is our winds and flight level. So 350, great. 310, 20,000 feet, 10,000 feet. That's not bad. I am going to modify them now. I'm going to go 5,000 here. I'm going to go 15,000 here, and we will go 25, flight level 250 here. Let's do a request on those. And again, we wait while it makes the actual request, and then you'll see request sent. So the request has been sent, now we're waiting for the company to respond. You can see why we do all this stuff a few miles out from top of the descent, right? It takes a little while. And it didn't used to take a while. Before we had all the data link simulation in there and adding in simulated delays to certain things, it didn't take as long as it does now. Great, so we got all our data, we're good. Let's click on VNAV now. Again, go to the next page. This time we will go to forecast. Oh, sorry, no we won't. I'm completely mistaken. We'll go to approach ref. We're going to do a flaps 25 landing. We will put that in. Flaps 25, so our VREF speed is 151. We'll put that in. Great. Let's go and look at our checklists. So just click on the checklist button. Come on down here. Here is our descent checklist. So we want to make sure that recall has been checked before we do anything else. Make sure there are no conditions that we've not paid attention to. Click on recall. We'll see nothing appear down here. Double check. We're all good. So recall checked. Notes, we don't have any. Auto brake is going to be level 2. So disarm 1, 2. VREF 151 minimums. Now the minimums here, the elevation of the airport is 672. So we're going to have a pressure minimum, barometric minimum of about 880. So we'll go ahead and dial that in. So right click, hold and drag. Good. So minimums are set. Back down to the checklist, we've got all that in. Approach briefing, well, it's going to be ILS 10 left, and as I said, we're doing the Oxy 4 star. Normally we will be vectored by air traffic control at some point along that star, so it's going to be a little strange the way we're flying it. We're going to double back on ourselves twice, once at the end of the star and then once at the end of the transition onto approach. You'll see us actually flip around 180 degrees, but that's okay. We're more interested in the flying of the aircraft actually than we are on doing things completely by the book with ATC and all that good stuff. So anyway, that is all set. Checklist complete. Click on normal, takes us to the approach checklist. Nothing to do here until we get to the transition level. All we can do now is wait until we hit top of descent. I'll see you when we get there. Okay, so we're starting our turn, and we have an FMC message, which no doubt is reset MCP altitude. So let's go ahead and look at the legs here. Whoops, let me click off that. We'll look at the legs and we'll find out what altitude we're going to set down to. Minimum we have in here is 2300, so let's go ahead and dial that in. Dial this all the way down to 2000, and then we'll just switch the switch into hundreds and drive this back up to 2300. So we have that in. Coming up on top of descent now in about 10 miles. Now I like to do a descent now. It's a fairly easy descent and it's gentler on the passengers than simply going to 2000 feet per minute rate of descent straight off the bat. So next page, off of VNAV, descent now, execute. And I'm going to pull back my physical throttle so you can see them moving back there. And once the speed bleeds off a little bit, we will be in our descent. There it goes now. So starting our descent now into Chicago. Now, as I said, it's quite a strange approach, but that's okay. We're more interested in the aspect of flying this aircraft than anything else, I think, in this video. And that's going to be quite interesting. The 300 is a lot more slippery than the 200. It takes quite a lot of effort and forward planning to get the speeds down where you want them to be. Approach now. Notice we're still at 15,000 feet. Our first waypoint is 9,000. We're pretty fast. Now VNAV will certainly bring you down, but not necessarily at the speed you want or really in schedule, especially on something tight like this. I like to turn VNAV off at this point and do it by hand, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. First of all, we're going to override the speed, so we're going to drop our speed right the way down at this point to about 240. Now it's going to take a while to get down to that speed. Obviously we're pretty fast, so we'll put the speed brake out, add some drag here. As I mentioned a few times now, this is a slippery beast of an aircraft. It's very hard to visualize our flight path now as well, so we'll turn center mode on. That lets us see more clearly where we are. So we're going to go around here and then turn back and pretty much be on finals at that point. We need to be 9,000 on that initial waypoint. So let's take this out of the VNAV setting that we had. We'll put it into 9,000. We'll choose vertical speed. I'm going to put that about 800, 700 around there, which is a good compromise between rate of descent and managing our speed. So as our speed comes down, notice our flaps extension is about 222. Our flap limits are way above that. They're about where we are now, so, or even higher, 290 odd for flaps 1. So we don't have a problem dropping the flaps early if we need to. Let's take this out of center mode now. Our planner's gone all sorts of squirrely. That's okay. That's because I'm interfering with VNAV and LNAV at this point. We know speed brake's extended. We're going to bring the speed down again. It's giving you that warning because it's bringing the power back on and the speed brakes are out. I should have been paying more attention. So I'm going to drop our speed down now to 220. There. That lets us put the first stage of flaps out. And we will increase our rate of descent now as well. We're way above our VNAV path. We're 1,600 feet. You can see it here, above our VNAV altitude. So let's bring the speed brake back up. Might as well just leave it there and armed for now. We're probably going to need it again. Go first stage of flaps. Let's drop the speed once again. Now I'm dropping speeds a lot quicker than you would say in an Airbus or a 737. Again, very big, very heavy aircraft. You see the speed is very slowly coming down. Let's look at our deviation from vertical path. See, we're getting back on track. It's coming up. 1,400 feet above it, but it's coming up. Let's drop a range down here on the navigation display. Now with that speed continuing to drop, we can feasibly increase our rate of descent a little bit. Keep a very close eye on the speed now. See, it's holding pretty constant now, 1,300 feet per minute, and the speed's holding pretty solid. I'm happy with that. I could at this point put the speed brakes out again and drop the speed some more. I might need to do that shortly. In fact, I'm going to try and do it now. Let's go down to 200. We're going to put the speed brake out. Whoops, wrong way. See if we can drop our speed down a little more. That's going to let us get to flaps 5 a little sooner. Again, nowhere near the flap limits. So if we do suddenly pick up speed, which might happen, it's not a huge ordeal. 500 feet above vertical path, which is just fine. Because once we level off, then we can drop some speed even more, which we are going to do. Now remember, we're looking for flaps 20 as soon as the glide slope comes alive. Flaps 25, gear down, landing checklist once we are on the glide slope. Now that, on this approach, is actually, they're all pretty much the same time. You'll see the altitude we're at, this step descent here, 9,000 feet, 8,000, 7,000, actually is the glide slope. It's quite a weird approach. So we're on our vertical path now, coming up on 10,000 feet. I'm going to preempt it. Put all these lights out now. Speed is coming down nicely, so flaps 5. I'm going to go down again now, 195. Just keep the speed coming down as much as we possibly can. As long as we hit our constraints here, we're just fine. Bear in mind my speed brake is still out at this point. But even now, with flaps 5 and speed brake fully extended, look how fast or not we're slowing down. It's pretty crazy aircraft. Now we don't need this up, it's 98765 on the altitude constraints. We'll go back to init ref so we've got a good view of our VREF speed, 151. Let's drop this down more, 190 if we can. Now once we level off at 9,000, the speed's going to come down quite rapidly, which is just fine. Going to bring the speed down to about 180, get the next stage of flaps out, so that we're on schedule. So nose is coming up, which means the throttles will come up, so down on the speed. We'll preempt this just a tiny bit and go to the next stage of flaps. Speed brake extended because the engines are coming back on now, so speed brake up. Leave it in the armed position there. Okay, now our next altitude constraint is 8,000, so we'll dial that in. See if we can drop some more speed now. 170 is VREF 20 already. Put our range down here and we can see exactly where we're at. Now that says Cal 20 there. Let me just check the legs real quick. Yeah, that is the waypoint for 8,000. I'm surprised it's not showing that. Okay, so this is already down to 8,000. We're in hold right now, altitude hold. Vertical speed. Down we go. We're at flaps 15 now. Remember, once the glide slope appears, we want to go flaps 20. If we can, look at the speed coming up already though. We've got to be real careful. Easing up on my rate of descent there. It was getting a little ahead of me. There's the glide. There's the ILS just came up, so we'll do localizer. And we will put this, well, we won't put it in approach mode because I still want to see my constraints here. Having a hard time keeping that speed down, isn't it? As in, it is not going down. Next constraint is 7,000. Let's go all the way down to 6 so we can keep it fairly continuous. Still no glide slope. Let's see if we can extend our rate of descent a tiny little bit here without picking up vast amounts of speed. Now I can lower the speed here, but it's not going to help because we're in that descent now. This is where it's being slippery. Lowering the speed in the autopilot speed hold is not going to do anything to the speed over here. Still no glide slope. I will, however, drop it. There's the glide slope, so we want to be flaps 20 about now if we possibly can. Whoops. No, my speed brake off there. So let's go flaps 20. Again, we're not on schedule according to this, but we're not above our maximum speeds, maximum allowed speeds. We're fine, and that will help us bring the speed down. So with that done, let's arm approach. This is going to put the aircraft into quite a severe descent now. I'm going to bring the speed down 165. Try to help if I possibly can. But to get on that glide slope, it's going to go nose down quite a bit in a minute. There you go, you can see it now, 1,000 feet. It was 950. Speed's looking good. Haven't intercepted the glide slope yet. There is Chicago up ahead. There we go. Oh, I'm not sure why the engines are coming up. Let's see if we can cancel that. Come on. Okay, so I'm going to go flaps 25 now, and I'm going to take control. It's probably the easiest thing. We have a warning because I haven't got my gear down. My bad. Let's disable the autopilot. Cancel the warning, it's very annoying. Landing gear is down. Flaps are at landing flaps. Okay, so we're going to have quite an initial speed here. Quite a solid descent. We'll put this down to 151 now. So you're going to see the speed come up, which right now is not a huge ordeal. The glide slope's coming up now, so we can ease off on this rate of descent. That is probably incredibly unprofessional, but like I said, it's a very, very lightly loaded 777-300 ER, and it is slipperier than a slippery pig in an oil field. I don't know why I even said that, but you know what I mean. It's crazy hard. Now we're not exceeding our flap limits on the aircraft, so we're all right in that respect. We're just not following what the flight computers are telling us we should be at. So we're intercepting the glide path now. You can see Flight Director is saying it wants me nose up. Glide slope enunciation just came on. We're slightly to the left, so let's move to the right, get back on path here. Make sure we're comfortable and our pedals are at our feet. Chairs are locked and in the upright position. Mine wasn't. It was kind of in the laid back office chair position. Alright, nose up. Let's get back on path here. Try to follow the flight director a little bit now. You can see the constraint that's coming up is 2300. We're above that, so we're good. Leaving the auto throttle on. Let the auto throttle manage the engines. We're just managing the flight path.
2500.
Okay, really now trying to follow the flight director. We're a little bit nose low there. That cross, that magenta cross there will help you a great deal in getting yourself established on the proper path. Okay, trying to hold the nose in the center. Now look at my fly-by-wire trim speed, it's pretty bad. So we're going to trim to our current speed. That will help. That's another reason why we have that fly-by-wire trim speed indicator on that PFD. It's very helpful, especially in the approach, to see, well, the aircraft is actually trimmed for this, but Flight Director wants us here, and the two are not the same. There's runway 10 left. Now the scenery we're flying into is FS Dream Team's Chicago. It's very, very detailed. Worth getting if you fly in here a lot. We're looking good, no noticeable wind. A little bit high. Notice Flight Director is indicating it wants nose down, so we'll push nose down. Follow the Flight Director as much as you can. It will put you on the right glide slope, and it will keep you on the ILS, on the localizer. So we're a little low now, so bringing the nose up. Slightly off the localizer, nose down.
1000.
Gentle adjustments there to the nose to bring it up. We were slightly low. We're still a little bit low. You can see from the red lights on the end of the runway. We're expecting 2 whites, 2 reds. We have 3 reds. Just holding her off a little bit now. There we are. Now looking more out of the window than at the instruments. We are off the localizer slightly to the left, so we're going to bring it back. Gentle, gentle adjustments. I'm sure the people in these houses are not happy with their choice of location to live. This must be very loud right on the approach to runway 10 left. Landing, minimums. Let's see if we can hit the center line here.
100.
A little low.
50. 30. 20. 10.
I have no idea where that crater was in the middle of the runway, so I think I have a scenery issue. Let's put reversers up now. There's another one! Yes, I do have a scenery issue. But thank goodness the aircraft is not falling through it. Wow, Froogle. Let's ease up on the reversers now. Auto brake has come on. Double tap the brakes and that will turn auto brake off. Look at that! That's crazy scenery issue. Alright, well ignore the scenery issues and ignore what I was just saying about this being amazing scenery, you should go get it. That's pretty wrecked. I have no idea why. But anyway, you get the idea. I'm not going to redo the whole flight. Let's turn off to the right where it looks like there are less craters from marauding fighters attacking Chicago. Wow. I think you get the idea, right guys? I'm going to stop it right here. Anyway, thank you for watching. This was the first impressions of the Pmdg 777-300. Apologies for the naff scenery at the end there. I really must go and address that, and I'll probably update you on a blog as to what was wrong and get it fixed. 300 is a wonderful aircraft. People have asked me should they get it. It's really up to you. It is a very different aircraft in terms of flight dynamics to the 200. It requires a lot more forward thinking, especially in the descent, as you just saw. It can be a slippery beast and a bit of a challenge, and you don't really need to just have long haul routes to fly it. If you go and look at flightaware.com, for example, and search for 300 routes and 200 routes even, you'll see that there are plenty of routes used in the real world with these aircraft that are only 30 minutes to an hour to even 2 hours long. You don't need the full 19-hour around the world hauls. Anyway, let me know in the comment section below what you think. Again, I'm so sorry about the scenery. I'm not going to re-record the video. Live with it. Deal with it. As always, my name is Froogle, and I will see you all next time. Cheers, guys.